Hello, Speed Gaming. Welcome to Timespinner Randomizer Winners Bracket Finals. This is going to be a great match. I cannot wait to bring it to you. I am joined here by the incomparable Hupfen.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Wef. I think incomparable is maybe a better term for our two runners that we have, as they have been putting on just an incredible show left and right throughout this tournament.
It's true. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if this was also the finals match. Neither of these runners have had a loss yet, and this is a 2-and-out tournament. So I could see whoever loses this going into the losers bracket, winning that match, and hopping right back into the final.
Yep. Along this bracket, this is considered the winners' final, but as you said, this is 2-and-out, so we have plenty of time for a rematch.
Yeah, and so the interesting thing about this matchup, as we're going to get started very momentarily, is we have two randomizer players. A lot of the people in this tournament are speedrunners who began playing the randomizer. Both of these runners here are randomizer players first. wafflesoup did start running the 100% New Game Plus route, the any percent New Game Plus route. So he is a randomizer player that knows the speedrun tech, and it'll be interesting to see kind of the combination of when he's going to apply that speedrunner tech alongside his deep randomizer knowledge.
Yes, but for the folks here watching who don't have that deep randomizer knowledge, what we're seeing as we get started, our runners get one orb set, in this case the eye orb, and one spell, in this case the arm cannon. Those are, like everything else, completely random. And our objective is to collect the 5 pieces of the eponymous Timespinner and make our way to the true ending of the game. In order to get there, we'll also need some key cards, some vertical movement, and whatever other random items we happen to need along the way.
So this eye orb that they picked up as their first weapon, very interesting. So there is a speedrunner technique called Orb Swapping that is very effective in canceling out the animations of the attack orbs that you're using by switching off of them and then switching back on, which resets their cooldown. Now, this is interesting specifically because of the eye orb having a very long animation once it is out of your hand. So the eye orbs that you launched before will disappear, but will keep doing damage to the enemies. And as you orb swap out and back into that loadout, you will be able to continuously launch more eye orbs. And I say this is interesting because, as I said, these are randomizer players first. And orb swapping is kind of like the new hotness tech that randomizer players are learning. wafflesoup has gone on record saying he's going to wait until after the tournament to even bother orb swapping. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of affects the way that these two approach their combat.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing it already out of the gate. Crimdahl is demonstrating a fair bit of that swapping, so you're seeing those spiky eyes kind of go out from his character and then not return as he's doing that swapping. And he's making his way through this opening gauntlet a fair bit faster as a result, being able to do more damage more quickly.
He did get the jump, that hard jump on the first try, and both of the players fell into that spike pit. That is not a frame-perfect trick, but it can get you if you're not prepared for it.
Yep, that is part of the tutorial area that's supposed to teach you how to stop time, which you need the Timespinner wheel to do that. We'll find that wheel later. We have no idea where it is.
Right. Another interesting thing that you're going to see our runners do is very selectively kill some enemies at the start of this seed. Because they're starting with Eye Orb, which is a multiple hit, low damage weapon, one level will get them, instead of 1 damage per each of these hits, it will get them up to 2 damage per each of these hits, which is very important. You see Crimdahl gaining that level right before entering this boss fight. That is going to be huge, especially with the orb switching he's going to do. You see just all those 2s popping up there. Really tough to deal with that much damage. This eye orb advantage for Crimdahl is going to be quite big, at least in this boss fight. The later you go, I'm of the opinion that it is less and less necessary, and over the course of an entire run, it's really only going to save you about 30 to 45 seconds on average.
You can win a race with 30 to 45 seconds, though.
That when you have this high skill floor, that's an eternity, right?
Absolutely, as we did see Crimdahl getting through the Feline Sentry boss, Boots. Picking up Bombardment, I know, Wef, that is one of your favorite spells, pretty high up there, and against a number of more stationary bosses, it is very potent.
Right, it's the shotgun of Timespinner. Everybody knows that the shotgun is OP in every game that has a shotgun. This is no different. It is a short-range blast of, you can get up to 8, I believe, hits on a big enough and stationary enough boss. And if you can consistently get all of those hits off, that's a large amount of damage.
It is kind of funny that we're going from the arm cannon, the rail gun, into the shotgun as our first two spells. And there's the Twin Pyramid key, so Crimdahl now has access to time travel.
Not time stopping yet, but
nope.
We'll probably get there, hopefully soon. The Twin Pyramid keys are one method of time travel in this game. The other is to get the wheel and the spindle and be able to go to exactly one location on the map that allows you to travel back in the past. The Pyramid keys are one of those items that if you get the Pyramid keys, what they're going to do for you is allow you to travel around the map a lot faster than if you didn't have them. So the fact that they're in kind of an obvious place means both of our runners are getting them. wafflesoup having some really bad trouble with this helicopter corridor.
Yeah, this corridor without time stop can be annoying. Those helicopters will knock you off the platforms, and then you gotta just go back to the next checkpoint, and just it's tedious if you don't have a nice tool to ease it along.
All right, as Crimdahl goes to the past, it looks like we have a Greenwood Forest Warp, which is kind of a central location. It'll be interesting, the routing we see here. They're probably going to both go to the right. If you go to the left, in order to progress, you're going to need either a vertical movement of some sort or the water mask, and they have neither. So this won't be the area where we get our first routing divergence. Speaking of the water
there's
mask,
a water mask, yeah.
Crimdahl having a second, just like a split second to think about it. He's like, well, maybe I go back to the left, but no, he's going to stop by, get these 3 checks real quick from the refugee camp. Probably not grab the portal in the refugee camp if I'm guessing correctly. Yeah, he's turning around. There is a portal in the refugee camp, but if you are going to the right, which I see Crimdahl doing, you're going to have a portal to the right and to the left of the refugee camp that are going to be more convenient for your movement for the rest of the seed. So there's really no need to waste the time going and grabbing it.
Yep, as Crimdahl grabs the Pyro Ring on this route towards the castle, you need some manner of fire to unlock a series of checks that are actually in the present, but they're unlocked via the past because, time travel, it does things. We all saw Back to the Future, right? So that will help to unlock those areas once Crimdahl actually heads in that direction, which, as you're saying, Wef, could be a moment.
Yeah, it could be quite a bit, depending on what he finds here. He's going down, either he's just picking up this portal. Yeah, he's just picking up the portal for later. I like that move. You don't really know when you're going to want that portal. Sometimes if you route things correctly, everything behind that portal he just grabbed is kind of on the way back from a different thing that you are required to do. So some runners won't grab it. It really kind of depends on where the seed takes you. Right now, Crimdahl's going to head to the right into the castle keep, and he's going to go on a quick loop that has a whole bunch of different checks, and it doesn't actually take you very far away from where you started.
Oh, looks like Crimdahl is actually taking that warp, going to the Caves of Banishment.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting that he did that, and that he grabbed the portal and left, only to come back. Maybe he's, maybe he just has a feeling.
Yeah, this is feeling like a second guessing, and coming over here, a lot of these checks are underwater or are gated by water, so maybe having that train of thought as far as the route goes. Hey, I just got water mask. Let's apply it. Let's get those checks out of the way. We'll see if wafflesoup ends up following the same route, or if he decides to dedicate himself to the castle.
Right, or he could go back to the left, do water and fire checks now that he has those. He would have to abandon one check over there without vertical, but one check out of the several that it has, if that has nothing, it's kind of no love lost.
Yep, leaving behind one check. I mean, I'm not much of a gambler when I play randomizers, so one check behind, like that, there's so many things that could be.
There are so many
problem.
things that could be, especially this early. They're missing a lot. They're missing every required item. So it's just kind of a gamble. I know Waffle Soup very well in the way he plays. He does not like to abandon checks, as he just comes here first. Just comes right to the Caves of Banishment.
So we'll get these same checks that Crimdahl did. Nothing in terms of progression as yet. As I say that, Crimdahl finds Plasma Geyser. That is one of the pink items that opens up a single check. But that is Crimdahl over here in Lake Serene, rather than in the Caves of Banishment that Waffle Soup is now clearing out.
I didn't actually look. Did Waffle Soup go to the refugee camp? Did he blow past the refugee camp to use this free portal at the end of the caves here to go back to the refugee camp as just kind of like a free teleport?
I didn't actually notice that, and it's a swift enough movement that he could well have done it, and I didn't see. But
it's a smart play if he did.
Yeah, that would be a nice narrow route to take. So yeah, both of our runners just dedicating themselves to these water checks. Following the progression, following the circles that you get. Right.
You get the water mask, you're like, well, I'm right here.
Yep.
I'm right here. There's a bunch of stuff underwater. All right, so yeah, it looks like Waffle Soup's going to go to the refugee camp from the caves over here. You see there's a little cutscene that we're going to skip because we don't have time for that. No. And he's going to go get the refugee camp. He did stop at the refugee camp. Interesting.
I suppose so, yeah.
We did get the elevator key card in the underwater checks in Lake Serene.
Ooh.
That is an interesting check. They don't have the D key card yet, which is something they need in order to even use that elevator key card. But it does look like our first routing divergence here. We do see Waffle Soup going to the right to go into Castle Keep, grab the Castle Keep basement. Crimdahl's probably going to be right on his heels here. Yup.
Yeah,
actually just a little bit ahead of him.
Oh, yeah.
Crimdahl likes to go grab portals for that very reason. Oh, and then Waffle Soup. Oh, I was going to say.
Faking us out for a moment. I don't know, when you're playing at this level, honestly, you got to make your picks about what your route is going to be, and don't doubt yourself. Just commit and follow through.
Yep.
You need those seconds that you would otherwise lose. Acknowledging that if your route decision was wrong, it might actually cost you the entire run. But
right, and I said Waffle Soup doesn't like to abandon checks. He will be forced to abandon one check here in the early bits of the castle. Mm-hmm. There's the check where there are some jerks that are dropping some bombs on you, and you have to time stop, or you have to somehow get vertical up there to scare them to stop them from dropping those rock bombs. And he's going to have to leave that one behind, and I know that's going to annoy him a lot. We did get the security keycard B over there.
That is the beta. That is very valuable after we get the D card. Right. That will let us into the lab, but in order to get to that door, we're going to need the D card in the first place.
Doesn't really do much right now.
Yes, we've been talking about having vertical progression, and that is very valuable towards the end. There are 3 forms of that. There's a double jump, there's light wall, which you can climb onto as long as you've got your aura going, and then there's the celestial sash, which just whoop, straight up, infinitely vertical movement. We only need one of those latter 2 to actually complete the seed. We've seen plenty where light wall was all you got, and that makes some of the end game a bit obnoxious to deal with.
Oh, certainly. There are some parts of this game that you're expected to have double jump, and while technically in the randomizer you don't need it, the design of the dungeon is certainly around you having double jump.
Absolutely. Oh, and there is the D card in the castle basement.
So the D key card will allow them to go further to the right in the present towards Varnagras Tower. And with the elevator key card, they actually have with the elevator key card and the B key card, they actually have access to the entire tower. So that's very interesting. It is kind of a dense area to check, but it's a beast to route. So it's not a fast place to go, and if it has nothing, you kind of feel like you got stuck with it. but they have the water mask, and there's some underwater checks directly beneath the tower that will let them do some work there. It looks like Crimdahl is immediately going to check this check above the Merchant Crow's stash. 3 quick checks. And it has the Celestial Sash.
So, yep, we have infinite vertical movement. Very smooth.
Going into Lake Serene. I'm going to switch over to his audio because this is one of the more popular songs in the game.
It is a bop.
It is quite a bop. This is big. Crimdahl getting that sash. That's the infinite vertical movement. That is the best vertical movement you're going to get. And now that he has that, he can clear this entire right side of the past, no problem. So now he's got bombardment. He's got some nether orbs. He's going to go make mincemeat of this first required boss in the past, while wafflesoup is unfortunately doing a whole lot of stuff that Crimdahl has already done.
Yep, there are 3 bosses that we are going to have to fight over the course of this. There's Ilana, there's the twins, or the Golden Idol, depending on what part you want to focus on, and the Maw. The Maw will cause part of the overworld in the present. Oh, and there's double jump hidden. Okay, sure.
Oh, that is cruel.
Ooh, yeah.
That is not good for wafflesoup if he's waiting on vertical in order to go that way.
Yeah, but Crimdahl is going to go
back over to Crimdahl.
Yeah, going to go deal with the twins first. Sensible first boss fight to deal with. But what I was going to mention does have that gas mask. Both of our runners have found that. So at this point, going and fighting the Maw is reasonable. It will make some rooms in the present unbreathable. You got the gas mask, so you're offset. You're fine.
Right. So far in this tournament, the gas mask has only really been missing for one of our runners in one of our races, I believe. So a lot of the times it doesn't matter, but sometimes runners will get cheeky and beat that boss that gasses up the present and get to the present, realize they don't have the gas mask, and they're going to have to make a run for it. If you don't have that gas mask, Lunaeus, our protagonist, can't breathe. Oxygen level goes down. After you run out of oxygen, health level goes down rapidly. There are a couple of safe spots, but they're very difficult to get to.
Yep, it is possible, but yes, very difficult.
Yeah, it looks like wafflesoup's doing fire checks here. He's got to burn these vines. He has the pyro ring equipped. While Crimdahl is doing, required bosses, wafflesoup is probably digging for vertical, and unless light wall's here, he's not going to find it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but again, you're picking your route, you're making your decision, and I respect committing to that plan.
Yeah, because of time constraints, stuff like just one weird routing decision that just happens to pay off is so important in this. And because of time constraints, we kind of decided that we were going to only do best of 1 for this instead of a best of 3, which you would normally expect for such a relatively quick randomizer. So, it's just you don't have second chances. You just kind of go for it. Like I said, this is at least a 2-and-out tournament, so wafflesoup will at least be able to redeem himself in the loser's bracket to get a potential rematch against Crimdahl.
Yeah, but we did, by the way, find the spindle, one of the 5 pieces of the time spinner that we need. That was pretty much locked behind vertical. You can theoretically get there with just time stop. I say theoretically, it's actually not the worst time stop trick, but it's a trick.
It is a trick. There's a little mage that shoots an icicle at you, and you got to stop the icicle in midair, jump on it, use it as a platform, and jump up, and kind of leapfrog him. Wafflesoup, I would say the worst thing that could happen is that light wall is buried deep. He's really looking for light wall here. He's running out of options at this point, and he has to go do it. The only thing he can think of here is that Crimdahl is going to go do all of the things that he's been doing. The only thing that would really stop that from happening is go mode, and we do only have 1 piece of the time spinner so far, so maybe it'll happen. It's still early in the race.
Yep, here we have Crimdahl fighting Alana, the second of our 3 required bosses. Is weak to Empire Orb, like so many things are. Shame we don't have it.
Right. She is also weak to Umbra Orb, which they did pick up. It's just the Umbra Orb is just not nearly as good.
Yeah.
But also, this interesting, you may have seen some of those portals pop up behind the boss. This is the Nether Orb, where if it runs into a projectile, it'll create like a dark portal that does dark type damage. And does like a massive damage because you're creating multiple of these portals that stick around on a completely stationary boss. All right, so Alana's taken
wafflesoup
care of.
finds the tablet.
We do have a tablet. That is an interesting find. Crimdahl very well may have to do the things that wafflesoup is doing, so that is a big find for him.
Yep, that tablet allows us to effectively download items. There are a number of computer terminals throughout the library and the lab that we'll get to over the course of the present. And now any of those can have items, and those items can be very important. We have seen seeds with 3 or even 4 Timespinner pieces on terminals.
Yeah, it looks like wafflesoup's going to be getting his sash in a couple of moments. He will probably recognize that he is behind, and we'll see how that affects his routing. As Crimdahl, I guess we're going to stick with Crimdahl's audio because he's doing the stuff that we haven't seen yet. He is in the caves that lead to the 3rd and final required boss that's in the past of this game.
Yep, the Maw is just a big stationary target. It's surprisingly easy once you understand what the fight is actually trying to do. It's just a big blob of HP, more or less, so not expecting Crimdahl or really any runner to have a huge problem with that fight. And we've got decent equipment for it. No Radiant Orb. That would be really strong, but good equipment.
Wafflesoup aiming to go Caves of Banishment first, so we are going to see a little bit of sync up here. Instead of going with the easier bosses that are in the castle and in the tower, he's going to this first. My guess is that he's banking that Crimdahl hasn't been here yet, and he's going to find some sort of awesome item here that Crimdahl won't have yet. Something like a Timespinner wheel, or a really good item like a Jin Inferno or an Empire Orb. And there's a Timespinner wheel. He will find the wheel.
So, very required to come down here for all sorts of reasons, but that jackpot room paying out.
So-called jackpot room by speedrunner Ducky 2010 because of...
I mean, look at it. It paid out.
It paid out. It's got 4 chests right next to each other. That's the densest check in the game in terms of items. Just barely ahead of the... there's Lightwall in the Caves of Banishment, so... That is an interesting find. It can be used for vertical, but it can also be used for radiant damage, something that only the light wall and the radiant orb can do consistently. There are some other ways to do it, but they're not very good. The arm cannon they started with being one of them, and you can see with the quickness that they unequipped that arm cannon that they're not interested in that right now.
That's Wafflesoup picking up the wheel as well as Crimdahl goes to fight the Maw.
Yeah, he's going to switch to Radiant Orb here.
Yeah, did have it, and having Light Wall and having Time Stop, so can actually position himself just perfectly. It's going to take approximately no damage. Not literally none, but approximately none.
Approximately none. And with Orb Swapping, you don't really see this, but the Radiant Orb really has a slow cooldown. But when you do Orb Swapping, like I said before, you're cutting out that cooldown, taking away basically the one thing that's wrong with the orb.
Yep. I mean, hey, it's a strong orb. It's got good reach with that radius. Like the cooldown is how they balanced it. So we have unbalanced it.
Yeah, it's omnidirectional. And like I said, it's a rare damage type that a lot of bosses are weak to. So it's kind of good there to get. And when you factor in the orb swapping, it just becomes very, very powerful.
Yeah, Wafflesoup, though, opting for ice instead, which is a very annoying type to use, but hits a weakness as well.
Yeah, it's it's really good. It's doing a whole bunch of damage here. Without orb swapping, ice is definitely the move. Technically, Waffle Soup did finish that fight faster than using Light Wall and Radiant. So, maybe he's onto something.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was talking about with knowing when to apply the speedrun tech and when to just go with your randomizer knowledge and say, I know the matchup, I know the orbs, let's just do this. I think with so few time spinner pieces having been found yet, only the wheel and the spindle are that we know the locations of. I feel like that tablet that Waffle Soup found could be a very important find as Crimdahl finds the A key card. Not something you really want to see. It opens up a lot of really, let's just say at this level of play, we'll call them annoying checks.
So, worst room in the game having the worst progression in the game, would we say?
Yeah, for sure. So the reason that is the worst room in the game is if you don't have time stop. Luckily, Crimdahl does, and you don't have dash. And luckily, in this tournament, we decided that everybody starts with dash. Those 3 soldiers that are in there do an immense, scary amount of damage, and they're really hard to get around if you don't have that movement or that time stop. So I've called it the worst room in the game. A couple people have concurred. And it pays off by having the A key card, which unlocks a bunch of bad checks.
Yep, those checks that in the vanilla game are where you get the gears.
Crimdahl proceeding into the lab without the tablet.
Ooh, a bold play, but again, you have to come to the lab. This is a required area. There's a required boss here. This is how you get to the true ending. So Crimdahl's strategy is clearly just beeline for the exit and hope that things fall along the way. And aside from those 3 gears, they have.
Yeah, honestly, go do the required things is a strategy that pays off. As he gets the Shadow Seal, I bet you he wasn't going to do what we affectionately call Spider Hell in the lab. But now that he has that Shadow Seal and Radiant Orb, he's going to go do it. I can bet that he's going to. What that does, Shadow Seal is a ring. Oh,
a gear behind experiment.
A gear behind the experiment. I'll continue my thought here, but what Shadow Seal does is it's a ring that you can equip that does more damage the more that damage you have taken, so the lower your HP is. Now, yeah, he equips the Shadow Seal. He has the Radiant Orb equipped. You'll see him run directly into the lasers a couple times to get his damage up, and then he should be 2-shotting each of these spiders instead of 4 or 5-shotting them. That's exactly the right play. It turns Spider Hell into more of a Spider Heck.
But not worth it, I'm afraid.
The reward is an aura up, but it honestly, with this loadout, does not take that much time, so you gotta check it.
Yeah, but the reason we're so excited that we saw that gear just kind of sitting out there, it's being guarded by the Experiment, which is an optional boss in the randomizer most of the time. It's very weak, it's barely a boss, and it is the only check, I think the only check, that you can actually preview before going for it.
Yeah, technically you can preview Varndegroth, but that requires a save and quit.
Yeah, it locks you in.
So with that third piece of the time spinner, we are kind of running out of things that the tablet could pay off with.
Yeah, but there's still 2 gears that we're looking for, and again, we've had multiple on tablet.
Yes, that is absolutely a thing that happens. There are a lot of checks behind the tablet. You've seen Crimdahl running past a whole bunch of computers in the lab. Those are all locations that, once you have the tablet, you can download lore information, but in the randomizer, you can download items. Oh, we're going to see some really good orb swapping here from Crimdahl. This boss here is the required boss of the lab, weak to sharp, and as I said, the eye orb is the consensus best weapon for orb swapping, and just doing so much damage here. And just making mincemeat again of this jerk of a boss, honestly. Clones your mother and fights you while pretending to be your mom. That's just rude. And
fights with like teeth attacks. Like that's just wrong, man. That's just
not
wrong.
Right. It's not right.
At least Aelana has the dignity to use lightning as an attack. That's just respectable.
You know what? Back in my day, bosses use lightning. They don't turn into your mom and then attack you with teeth. As Waffle Soup wraps up the Ilana fight, he'll be grabbing that Eternal Crown, putting that right on. That Eternal Crown is a high offense boost, a high defense boost, and it improves the amount of time you can stop time by manipulating how much sand gets depleted as your time is stopped. So it's got quite a bit of utility. Again, Waffle Soup just doing things that Crimdahl's already done. The only thing that Waffle Soup has done that Crimdahl hasn't is the present fire checks, which gave him the tablet, which gives him a lot of checks that Crimdahl can't do until he finds that tablet. If we find something like the V key card, that could be huge. The V key card is 3 quick checks that all require the tablet. So yeah, we're gonna see Waffle Soup going right to the present. We'll see what the library tablet checks give us. Or not. He's not even gonna bother. He's just gonna go straight to the hangar. The hangar and then the lab, most probably, where, like I said, a whole bunch of those tablets are.
Chat pointing out he did already check that handful in the library. Still plenty more in the lab, though.
There are more in the lab, and again, there's going to be 3 more in the library if they find the V key card. Now, Crimdahl here, fighting the Azure Queen, probably going to get that tablet now. It's all in execution now because they're kind of on even playing field.
Yeah, I think Waffle Soup's main hope is if we do have a bunch of those gears on the tablets or on the terminals over here, because then his routing just becomes more compact. Crimdahl's gonna have to come all the way back, and sure, it's not too slow with Twin Pyramid, but that's more terrain to cover.
It is more terrain to cover. Backtracking is backtracking. You can take a shortcut with the pyramid keys, but you still have to go over ground that you've already covered, which is something you just never want to do in a 40-minute, 45-minute randomizer. I'm going to switch to Waffle Soup's audio here. As he goes through the military hangar, it is another
banger. Yeah.
Another banger. And then he'll head into the lab, which we've already heard both of these songs while Crimdahl has been cruising through it. As he warp shards out, we'll see where he goes. Yep, he's going to go check those fire checks that he unlocked in the present. And that means he will get the tablet. So here we go. Waffle Soup is going to get his 1 gear from the experiment, and we will see what else the tablet gives us. Yep, he sees the gear. He says, I can't believe it. Yeah, Zarian caves are still outstanding. It's a long cave. It's not very check dense, but it does have checks. And this point in the game, you got to start thinking something's there.
It's looking more and more likely as we go along. Waffle Soup skipping Spider Hell.
Yeah, he hasn't picked up the Shadow Seal yet. They took a different route through the lab.
Yeah, and it will prove out to be the right play. There's a V on a terminal. Interesting.
V on the terminal.
Making sure that V means value today. Or at least you'll be able to check the things that are in there. It's not completely useless.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to have a gear at this point.
I mean, I don't know the statistics on here. I was going to make a joke about statistics, but then I realized that, 1, I don't know the statistics of this randomizer, and also it's late on a Friday.
Yeah, no, we're done talking about all that statistics stuff.
No, we're not thinking, we're speedrunning.
Right. Go right and up. Think later. Oh, Crimdahl's already got that V key card. He went to the lab before going to the library, I believe. So that's just a good call on his part because he would have checked the library, gotten the V card, and had to go back to the library. So that is cutting down on some of the backtracking that he would have to do. So far, unless it's on the V card, that is very little behind tablet. We're looking at a Zarian cave dip here.
Yeah, it's looking like. I don't think we even have enough terminals left. We cannot have 2 gears in the same room as a technical constraint. So our runners will know that you're not going to find 2 and 3 in the V chamber.
That is correct. For a technical limitation that is brought upon by forcing us to retrieve the gears in order. You find gear 1 before you find gear 2 before you find gear 3.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. Here's the V key card checks. Nope.
Nothing. No value.
Oh, now we got to think. Is everyone's favorite boss going to have a gear?
It's feeling very Zerion here tonight. But Crimdahl still has tower checks to do. There's still plenty of possibilities. There's even more bosses that could have a gear.
Yep, here's another spider hell room. It's only got 5 spiders in it this time, so it's not nearly as bad. But again, Shadow Seal with Radiant Orb kind of doing the trick. And there's a Timespinner gear.
Oh, man. Behind the lesser hell.
Yeah.
Now, with wafflesoup having skipped the first one, I worry he might decide to skip that one too, just be completely spidered out.
Yeah, he doesn't like doing the lab one because you can't teleport out of it. He likes doing it later if he has to, which is a lot of backtracking, but technically having to go backwards through the spider hell is also backtracking. It's just a preference of his. Crimdahl's, I would say, in a pretty comfortable lead at this point. He has a lot more knowledge. The only thing that's really going to affect this is wafflesoup going to go Zarian Caves first?
Yep, and is that going to pay off?
Right. I think Crimdahl actually dipped out of this tower a little bit faster as well. Okay.
Yep, that's wafflesoup done with Emperor's Tower, heading to the Varnagroth Tower.
All right, we are going to see a quick peek at this item here. This is a not required boss in the randomizer. He's going to open the chest, see if it's good. Say see you later, because it's only a lab coat. I got an eternal coat. Goodbye. And wafflesoup is going to the Zarian Caves and not the tower.
It's a bold play, but if you feel like you're behind, you make the bold play.
Yeah, I mean, the only issue is the tower had a gear.
Yeah. It's possible to be too bold.
Well, I mean, we're thinking they're both going to be required, so right now it's just Crimdahl. Honestly, just the movement has been a little more smooth. The boss fights have obviously been faster with the orb swapping. They're not that far off from each other, honestly. wafflesoup getting the portal and backtracking. I don't know if there's something that he left here.
There might have been a double jump.
Yeah, there are probably 2 checks that he's missing here that require vertical movement. He's just going and checking this. Oh, they didn't check these either. After beating the Maw. There's 2 treasure chests that only show up there after you beat the Maw.
And none of them had value, so warping back, this is looking like the Zarian Cave dip as Crimdahl finds Jin Inferno.
Yeah, there's Jin Inferno. A bit late for it to super meaningfully affect the run, but it is going to almost definitely be used against the final boss. Oh my gosh! It's a gear on the skeleton.
That is going to be rough for wafflesoup. He's going to continue through Zarian Cave. Crimdahl is going to find that eventually and be in go mode.
That is very rough for wafflesoup. In order to really his best bet here was going to be a gear that's buried very deep into these caves, because he's going to do all of this and not need to.
Oh, absolutely. And, Crimdahl is here in the Seal Cave, just exited. That whole area was unnecessary, no value there, but it was also shorter.
Yeah, so. Crimdahl's going right to Zarian Caves. He's going to be in go mode momentarily.
Yeah, I mean, you hate to see it, but randomizer racing, there's always that execution and that routing and that luck.
Yep.
And so far, I dare say all three of those factors have fallen Crimdahl's way.
Absolutely. Just finding that sash first, being like, all right, I'll go back to the library. And the best vertical movement is in the library. If I had to pick one moment in this seed, it would be that early gamble. And I wouldn't even say it's a gamble. It's 3 quick checks. That early dip back into the library really paid off for Crimdahl in a huge way. wafflesoup spent a lot of time looking for vertical. He just didn't go to the same places. There was no wrong play. It was it was just a different play that paid off for Crimdahl here as he goes into our end game here.
You have to get your choice.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, you get your choice of 2 bosses, and Crimdahl chooses the left side. Slightly easier in terms of HP. Right side is easier if you have that Empire Orb and can really exploit the weakness.
Right. Crimdahl just taking care of the boss there with Bombardment. We mentioned earlier that it just, with big, mostly stationary bosses, it just does damage in huge chunks. And it looks like wafflesoup will probably pay a visit to Spider Hell, get his go mode, and be right on the heels of Crimdahl. Like I said, this was going to be very close. This was the clear next play after Zarian Caves.
Yep, and fortunately for wafflesoup, he did not hard commit to the Zarian fight as well. That's a tricky fight to deal with.
Yeah, and there's a portal right before it, so not doing it is not exactly what I would call a risk. It takes no time to get from that portal to the boss, so if it's required, you're only losing a little bit of time. The way things are going, it looks like they will at least be kind of simultaneously on the boss fight, at least in part. As we approach the end of this dungeon, there is going to be a pretty, if you don't follow the lore, confusing final boss fight, but we assure you it makes all kinds of sense.
Absolutely reasonable. Just read all the lore books and it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yep, we have Crimdahl. Right as wafflesoup breaks time, Crimdahl enters the Sandman fight. Using that Jin Inferno to great effect.
Yeah, he's going to be using Jin Inferno here. This is another area where this is a randomizer strat. This is not a speedrunner strat. You don't typically mess with Jin Inferno much. It's kind of nestled deep into the game. It's very difficult to get, so you don't really ever have it. Crimdahl going to the true final boss here. We'll see what he does, what his strategy is. He's going to plant some light walls here. And, yep, he's got the Shadow Seal on. He's going to do some Radiant Orb Swapping. The more he gets hit, the more damage those orbs are going to be doing. Just sitting here taking the damage. They're so over-leveled and over-geared at this point that it barely matters. Ooh, on the right. I don't know if you were paying attention, wafflesoup. Doing the light wall skip, even though it wasn't necessary. But let's get some exclamation points in chat. For Crimdahl, who has finished with an official time of 41:51.
Yep, GG's. Excellent work, Crimdahl.
Excellent work. Very close race.
And we have wafflesoup just getting into the Sandman fight himself.
Yep, I'm going to switch over to his audio. Oh, you did. Never mind.
And with these two finishing out fairly close, we'll wait until both of them are done and then have our little post-run chat. Yeah, this means Crimdahl does go on to the grand final of the Timespinner Randomizer tournament here at SpeedGaming Live 2021. Whose opponent will be, we have no idea.
Right, wafflesoup is not eliminated yet. There is a loser's bracket that he is going to have to go through in order to get back to the grand finals against Crimdahl for a rematch. Not out of the realm of possibility. There is some time spinner left to go before that's properly decided. But I think Crimdahl has definitely earned it. I think he's kind of Well, we'll wait until he's in here, and we can talk a little bit about his approach to this randomizer.
Yeah, but first, wafflesoup has got to get through the last phase of the last boss. Good old nightmare. I don't remember who in a different tournament match referred to this boss fight as beating a dead horse, but I can't unthink that now.
Yeah, the boss sprite is modeled after a horse skeleton. So I believe it was Triumphant Base who coined it first, and then Mark Magus used it first in commentary, beating a dead horse, as wafflesoup beats the dead horse, finishes with an official time of 43 minutes and 57 seconds. That is really close race. Really, really, really close race.
Yeah, really good times from both of our runners.
So yeah, earlier today we had James KT reaching the final of the losers bracket. His opponent will be Winfei Maiden, and then the winner of that will go up against wafflesoup for a shot at the grand finals. So Crimdahl's opponent is yet to be determined by a couple of matches, but it's going to be really, really, really exciting. Both of these runs were amazing. Literally, it was the library dip that decided it here. It is that close. Both these runners are incredible. In a best of 3, I would be very excited to see how this goes.
Oops.
We are joined by both Crimdahl and wafflesoup here. Hello. Amazing runs. Great seed.
Yeah, that was
Thanks.
an
Yeah.
awesome seed.
It was a really great seed. Really, it was one. I mean, as it is when you get to the late game in these tournaments, it was one routing decision that really mattered. Crimdahl went back into the library, opened up the Merchant Crow stash, and got the sash.
Yep.
And that was the one routing decision that was made that kind of made the big difference here. It was about a 2-minute difference, and sounds about right.
Yeah. I'm just really glad it was really close. I hoped it would be, and I'm sure that made for a very entertaining race.
Mhm.
Right.
I hope so.
Yeah. So both of you, I had made remarks that both of you are definitely like in the higher tier of randomizer runners. Crimdahl, an interesting story here because, I mean, you don't stream a whole lot, so nobody before this tournament really got to know just how really good at this game you are. So, I mean, it's been a pleasure to kind of watch that unravel. I've gotten messages in private from people. It was a private message, so I won't disclose who said it, but it was like, I didn't know Crimdahl was good at this game, and you didn't tell me that Crimdahl was a god at this game, so it's been really fun watching this kind of unfold where, you're not a speedrunner of the game. You kind of came in a little quiet, and yet here you are, you're going to the grand finals. How's that feel?
I'm shocked. I knew I was an unknown quantity coming into this, and I was just glad to make it through my first couple of matches, but I never could have imagined that I would just win all the way up to the grand finals. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, your library dip strats have paid off really, really well so far.
Yeah, I was super happy when I found the sash there. The dipping back to look at the crow stash as soon as I find the D card does seem to continue to pay off.
Yeah, wafflesoup, a great run from you. Like I said, it was that one routing decision that kind of decided this whole thing. So, like, by the time, and it was fun. The big important thing here was that it took Crimdahl a very long time to find the tablet that you had very early.
I don't even remember where tablet was, but yeah.
It was behind present fire checks.
Okay, right. Yep.
And you had that, and that was basically like we were talking about, if there's something behind the tablet, this is huge. It turns out there was nothing behind the tablet.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been another deciding factor that could have turned the tide in your favor, and unfortunately, RNG did not swing your way. But yeah, now how do you feel about your run here? I know you were 2 minutes behind, but it was very close.
I feel great about it. I mean, except for where Sash was located, actually felt like pretty normal seed. Like, Bonsai rolled this seed?
Yeah, Bonsai rolled
Yeah.
this seed. He usually doesn't do our runners real great.
So, yeah, I'm happy with it. That was a good seed, and I had fun with it.
Yeah, and it's
good.
funny because it seemed a lot faster than it actually was. We've had a few sub 40 seeds in this tournament, and that seed seemed so fast, and yet, I mean, it was pretty comfortably into the 40s.
Yeah, and I didn't leave a lot of checks behind either.
Yeah, I think that's something of a testament to your execution and your routing from both of you. Because you did cover a lot of the terrain here, even going into the Emperor Tower, but still coming out in a fairly respectable time and keeping it close the entire way.
So, Waffle Soup, you are not out of this, as you know. Your opponent for the final of the losers bracket will be Windfay Maiden or James KT, and both of them have showed in this tournament that they're pretty darn good at this game too. So, do you have any thoughts about that pending matchup?
That's going to be a great match. Just to throw some shade, I have already beaten both of them.
I was gonna bring it up, but I wanted to let you do it first. So what you're saying here is prepare for the rematch, Crimdahl.
Yes, absolutely. That is what I'm saying.
Oh.
You
Wow.
in the
This
finals.
is the energy I've been begging for all tournament. I love it.
Web was over here at the start being like, I'm going to play this like an ESPN announcer. I didn't know you were going to play this as a wrestling announcer.
Something about 133 and a third % chances.
Look, we said we weren't going to do math.
Yeah.
But we are going to thank both Crimdahl and Waffle Soup for this run and congratulate both of you again on a very solid showing.
Well, GG Waffle Soup, and thank you Hupfin and Wef for commentating for us today.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for SpeedGaming for hosting us. It was a ton of fun. And there's still some matches left to go.
Yep. I look forward to our hopeful eventual rematch.
Yeah, it'll be exciting whoever ends up in the grand finals. There's a lot of really high-level play of Timespinner Randomizer going on. Any final thoughts before we cut you loose?
Nope.
Well, no matter who wins the upcoming matches, I'm sure it's going to be a very exciting finals.
Yeah, we're hoping for some real rude seeds in the grand finals. Can't wait. All right, well, thanks again, SpeedGaming. Thanks, chat, for hanging out and enjoying the run with us. Thank you to our runners, Crimdahl and Waffle Soup. Those links are in the chat. Go ahead and give everybody there a follow. Thanks for our restreamers. We don't have to thank trackers because the game comes with its own auto tracker. Small plug there. But yeah, Hupfen, any last words from you?
No, just echo all those thanks. And, remind folks there's plenty more of the SpeedGaming Live 2021 going on. This is the last weekend of it, and there's a lot of finals matches. I know we have some of the link to the past randomizer tournament coming up in a little bit, along with Super Mario Brothers 3. The remainder of the Timespinner tournament will be happening across tomorrow and Sunday.
Yeah, if you want to see some tight races, Mario 3 Randomizer is where you want to look.
Oh boy, yeah. Very impressive work. But yeah, with that, thank everybody here for watching and take care.
Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful
Have a
evening.
lovely night.
Yeah.